Welcome back to Game-Based Learning in the World Language Classroom. The why, what, and how. We're on section 3, the how, where I'm giving you a bunch of game ideas. I'm Madame Sensei. I teach Spanish, French, and Japanese to high schoolers out here in the beautiful Pacific Northwest. If you want to help me think of more games, I'm at studio-nemo.com, the Minecraft Education Ambassadors, or the Minecraft Teachers Lounge, or the Duolingo Educators Network. We're on Chapter 13, Cardstock Games, to practice sentences and vocabulary and all those drill and kills you hate but need. In our previous episode, we were talking about sorts and stations. Okay, so before then, we'd been talking about card games, and then I said, well, these games don't fall into that category. They're made of cardstock, but they're different types of games. And so I taught you how to make sorts and stations out of all your old boring workbooks and whatever you needed to drill and kill. So this next game I thought of because our school has a random acts of kindness club, which is quite prolific, and they have this really fun thing that they do where they have these like plastic bead necklaces like from Mardi Gras, and they tape little signs to them, and little signs will be like Mario looking for Princess Peach, and another one will be Princess Peach looking for Mario, and one will be peanut butter looking for jelly, and the other one will be jelly looking for peanut butter. And they hand them out randomly to students, and your job is to go around and find the student or the teacher, if you're participating, because I'm a teacher and I like to participate. Find the one that matches you, and then you take a picture of yourself with your buddy, okay? And I had a beautiful picture of one time I was Robin looking for Batman, and the other student was Batman looking for Robin, and I happened to have a Batman cape, and I grabbed a mask, and we dressed up, and it was really funny because I tied myself up because Robin is always caught, right? So I thought this was so much fun. I thought, let me bring it into my class somehow. And so this is a game I call Oops, I Tripped. And I'll just be like, hey, everybody, I've got a bunch of cards here, and oops, I tripped. And maybe it's not so funny nowadays because I did actually trip over a backpack playing a different game and broke my leg horribly a couple years ago. So at any rate, I like to throw the cards on the floor because then they're automatically mixed up and random, and the kids have to run around and pick them up. Somehow I don't ever do it with my Quiz trade deck. I don't throw those on the ground. I don't know why, but on the days I don't feel like doing that, I'll just lay them on the desk and say, come up and grab one, or I'll just fan them out in my hand and say, come up and grab one. Sometimes the cards are words, and most often the students need to make sentences. So here's an example of one I did when we were introducing likes and dislikes, and the students they were in the silent period, but I needed to push them past that. And so I thought having a crutch in their hand would help them. And also they just needed to get used to these words. So I made cards, and they just had like ice cream, chocolate, drawing, French fries. Okay. And I copied this twice onto cardstock and cut it out. And it didn't take long because I made the font as large as possible, and I could just go slice across the lines, and they're so big I don't have to worry about them getting lost or anything. Okay, but I made 2 copies, and then I did the oops, I tripped, and so one student had ice cream, and they'd have to go around the class asking everybody else, do you like ice cream? Well, maybe they came up to the student who had chocolate. Do you like ice cream? No, I don't like ice cream. I like chocolate. Or, of course, since it was the first day, a lot of them were just saying no and walking away when I'm trying to get them. So I write the sentence frames on the board. Okay. And then they go around, do you like ice cream? Okay, so they finally found their match. And then they both have to come up to me and say, we like ice cream. So I got a lot of good conjugation practice between do you like, I like, because ideally I wanted them to say, do you like ice cream? No, I like French fries, and then walk away. And of course, I walk around in the middle of the class while they're doing this so that I can correct them, so that I can encourage them to use a full sentence, so that I can work on their pronunciation stuff. With any game, you're never sitting in the corner reading a magazine. You're always at least playing the game if you can, or if not, just walk around and listen to everyone. Because this one I wouldn't play the game. This one I'd be listening to everyone. Because if I played the game, there'd be 29 students I wasn't listening to. So that was just more description of that. Another oops, I tripped kind of game is, remember I had all these decks of cards I had in the sorts and station? Why should I have to redo things? I already have this nice set of cards. It can do double duty. And actually this was a set of cards that I'd used for oops, I tripped, and I put it into a station instead. But it doesn't matter. Just, you've gone to all the work. Think of ways you can use this work more than once, okay? So these are, every student had a different word, and then they had to put themselves in sentences and see how long their sentences could be, and kind of glom onto other people and go around the room and just make as long sentences as they could. And so we were trying to see which was the longest sentence we could make. And I loved it because students were making sentences I didn't even think about, and that was just great. Sometimes I have questions and answers. Okay, so like instead of copying it twice, I'll have a question and an answer, and then the students have to find the person who answers their question. And this is also great because sometimes they come up with different questions and answers than I would have thought of. As long as they can justify it, I'm okay with it. Because they're showing me they understand, right? And then this is kind of an audiolingual one, and I've talked about the audiolingual method elsewhere in my YouTube channel. But I basically wrote a bunch of little mini skits, okay? And, often I'll have the whole class do an audiolingual mini skit, but somehow this gets them seeing more audiolingual skits than if I did it whole class, because I can use the same set over 2 weeks' time, and then everyone will have seen every single skit. So I come up with 15 skits that are 4 lines long, and I keep them paired together until just before we're about to do it, because that way if I say, oh, I've got an absent student, and then I can say, okay, I'm going to take this one out or whatever. And then if there's an odd number, then the odd number person gets to pair up with me. But anyway, it's just an audiolingual skit, very simple. And the students just go around the class asking the first question, do you like to play baseball? And when they find someone who can answer the second question, then I give them 5 minutes to practice. I'm like, work on your pronunciation. Make sure you understand everything that's on there, or come see me if you don't. I give them 5 minutes to practice, and then we perform for the class. And it doesn't take, this is 5 minutes to practice, 5 minutes to perform for 30 students that are in pairs. So that's 15 performances, and it's really quick. But they have the crutch right in front of them, so their effective filter isn't raised. After about 2 weeks of doing this, I'll start, not even 2 weeks. After 1 week, I'll say, if you can memorize it, I'm going to give you an extra point. Because they do have 5 minutes to memorize it. All right, in our next episode, we're still talking about cardstock games to practice sentences that you really need to drill and kill. And this is part 4. But actually, I'm just going to take a video I made when I was explaining some guided language acquisition development techniques, GLAD. And I was trying to reimagine expert groups for high school. And so I talked about quiz trade. I'm just going to take that video and plop it in right here, make my life easier. All right, hope to see you there.